I do kind of actually want to get your perspective on this. I know you have a lot to say about this particular subject. I asked Fontaine this earlier about words being power in relationships. So let's talk about what that means.
Yeah, words are definitely powerful. I mean, as one of the panelists here had mentioned, Fontaine, she was talking about, actually holding an item and passing it to somebody and having somebody complain, hey, you took that from me, and being able to give it back. But, she was so on point when she had mentioned that, when you say something and you come at somebody sideways, that can never, it may be forgiven, but it's not going to be forgotten, and that's very, that's something that you got to put in perspective, before, because, the one of the biggest things about saying something like that, I mean, it's so revealing to so many other things,
Mm,
you
that,
know, because to me, it's just like, just with you as my friend, like me knowing myself, there are so many things that I know that I'll never say to you.
yeah.
I know that. You know what I mean? So when somebody is in a relationship and they feel that it's okay to say certain things, it's just like there's a lot that you need to reflect about yourself. I mean, because I'm always looking at it. One of my favorite quotes is about mirrors. You know, um, they say the definition of hell is being in a space where everybody is calling you names and you have no mirror to look at yourself and figure out who you are. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's a bad marriage. Like if you have somebody who is sitting here and they're telling you how horrible of a person you are, when this person is supposed to be the one that props you up, the one that makes you feel, that you can do anything, everything, like, that's a very terrible place to be, especially if you have years of that,
Yeah.
because the thing is, after all of our parents, our friends, and everybody, passes away, all you have left is the person that you chose. And if that person that you chose, is taking that opportunity to belittle you and make you feel less than, those are manipulation tactics, So that's why it's very easy for me to end whatever relationship that I am when I see it even heading in that direction, because being in relationships and love and this, that, and other, that's one topic. But when somebody's trying to manipulate you, that's something entirely different. That's a whole nother ball game. You know, it's a reflection of self.
That's a good point, and I do want to highlight something and then get your perspective on it. So that's not to say that like you're gonna have on rose colored glasses and you're gonna live in fantasy land and you can't be corrected. So there's a difference between course correcting versus telling the truth, because or versus manipulation, excuse me, because as like a partnership, your partner, your friend, even like whoever you're with, they should be able to like tell you the truth to get you back on course, because sometimes we see things about our friends, we see things about our partners that they can't necessarily see, because somebody said this the other day. They said sometimes it's really hard to see the picture when you're within the frame, right?
That's
So
right.
you need someone with an outside perspective to be able to help course correct you, right? So how would someone know if they're being manipulated or if this is like a genuine course correction? Because that's something I definitely struggle with, when I would feel like I gotta hold on to this and you're not gonna tell me what to do. Like I had to remember, okay, oh, there's times when like, yeah, I do need to be course corrected. So how can someone tell the difference between course correction and manipulation?
Very good question. You know, in my experience, it's like I've come up against some people who are like Navy SEALs of manipulation. Like they really know what they're doing. And the thing is, sometimes you're not going to know, but you have to really take it back a layer and think about how you feel. Because the thing is, somebody can sit there and they can argue you into the ground. They can actually argue you into realizing or to thinking that you are wrong for feeling the way that you feel. But the thing is, you can't help but to feel the way that you felt, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, if I'm with somebody and they're talking down to me, and to a degree, they may be within their right because of everything logically that they pointed to, but I still feel like crap. I got to point that out. I'm like, hey, you might be right, but I feel like crap. And I'm just like, I shouldn't feel that way if I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should be able to come to you and feel like I can talk to you. If I can't do that, there's a bigger issue here,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not about, what looks good on paper. It's not about, just the fact that this person is well respected. There's plenty of people, especially in my field, where, they got all these degrees on the wall and they, have been in the field for like 20 years and they'll come at me sideways and I'll be like, excuse me? Like, who are you talking to? I'm like, I know you got all these accolades. I know that you've done all these incredible things, but I'm still a person. That doesn't give you a right to belittle me or make me feel any kind of way. People, they tend to, prop themselves up based on a lot of things that are outside of like a relationship element,
Mm-hmm.
and just relations with other people. And sometimes we do it and we don't even realize it. Like sometimes you have a guy that will sit here and say, well, I paid, all this child support for my kids. I paid for this, I paid for that. I'm like, man, you supposed to. I'm like, you ain't doing nobody no favors. You know what I mean? I was like, did you spend time with him though? Like, did you go out and play with him? Did you go out and do those other things? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Yeah, I got my girl and I bought her this nice car and I did this, that, and the other for her and stuff like that. But I'm like, did you put it down though when it was time for you and her to be together?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, which one is she able to come to you and just be herself and not be nobody else for you? You know, there's something that Fontaine said that really resonated with me. You know what I mean? About like really not wanting to be married because we see so many terrible examples all over the place. We see terrible examples in the media. We see terrible examples like in so many different elements as far as media, as far as like what we've seen in like from like our parents and like our extended families and friends and things like that. But I feel that ultimately the people that we choose are a mirror of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, like, I have a very good friend of mine, well, at least a former best friend of mine. He used to date nothing but ugly women, right? And the thing is, yeah, that's not the nice thing to say, but me and him would talk and he'd just be like, yeah, I like it. And I'm like, you're a handsome dude. Why do you date these ugly women? And I'll never forget what he told me because he was just like, they'll never leave me.
Mm.
you know, I could do whatever I want. They're always going to be there.
That's
You
a
know what I mean?
evidence of something so much deeper for him. Jeez Louise. Wow.
But the thing is, too, that's also a reflection of the woman. Because the thing is, I've seen some ugly women pull some nice looking dudes because their confidence is on 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing on both sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that and the thing is, the person who I choose to have in my life
Yeah.
is just like,
I'm
you
sorry.
know,
Fontaine is so funny. She said, speaking for ugly women, yes, we will leave. Fontaine, you ain't ugly girl. Sorry. I had to say something about that.
that's dope.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. You said quite a few different things, Chris. And I want to kind of like do what Wade does, which is take a lot and like make it like very succinct. So you said a couple
Gotcha.
because I asked you how does someone identify course correction versus manipulation, and I think the formula that we got to based on what you said was, does it inflate them? Like, what does it do for that person? Does it like make them superior in a way, and or does it inflate you? So I'll give an example. Like, I have a really good friend of mine that drives me to do different workouts, and it's for my own benefit. It's not because you need to look like that. But sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. But that inflates me at the end of the day because it's going to be for my health in the long run, right? So I think that's a good concrete example. I think that some people can attach to, but doesn't inflate them or doesn't inflate you is what I got out of it. And also, you said a couple other things. You know, it's a heart condition and it's about motivations. Like, so why are they doing what they're doing? Those are some things that you can consider when thinking about, is this really for you or is this for them?